prostitution in Glasgow. I'll introduce you to Roseanne Cameron, who's the service manager for Route South, and Sally Henry, who is one of our development officers who works with women involved. So we've got the plethora of everybody involved, so please feel free during the presentation or exercise, if there's any questions you want to ask, please feel free. Some of the kind of topic of the presentation today is quite hard-hitting. It's not aimed to shock you in any way, it's the harsh reality for a lot of women involved in prostitution, and it's the reality for us supporting women involved. I'll pass you over to Roseanne and Sally, who are going to do a wee exercise with you just now. So it's really just about, there's a lot of statements and there's a lot of kind of myths and differing opinions actually about prostitution currently. You know, we're here because we view it as a form of violence against women and girls, and that's absolutely the place where we're coming from. We're not here to try and change anyone's opinion if you don't feel like that. However, we're hoping by giving you hard facts and the realities for the women involved that we work with, that might change your opinion in itself. So I'll pass over to Roseanne, who will give you a wee kind of bit about what we're going to do, and then I'll take over for the presentation.
Hi everybody. What we have here is some cards that have statements on them that have been made about prostitution. What we're going to do, as Frankie said, we're not here to debate it or to change people's minds. It's really just to ask you to think about these statements, ask yourself whether you agree or disagree, and maybe think a wee bit deeper than the actual statements. So Sally's on the handies out. If you don't mind just taking a few minutes and even discussing it with
that are out there. I'm not going to go into them because, as Roseanne said earlier, we could literally be here to the end of time debating the pros and cons of legalisation and decriminalisation, etc., etc. One of the statements that's out there, and I think it might be that table there, is about street prostitution diminishing due to technology. The likes of mobile phone technology, smartphones, online ads, etc., etc. So that's what we're here to kind of talk a bit about, is about our experience supporting women involved on street and what that looks like, what the picture. So if I can get this working, I shall be very happy. So Route South is a service that was transferred over from Glasgow City Council Social Work Department in 2010. It was formerly known as Base 75, and that's where a lot of people will have heard it before, as Base 75. Still the exactly same building, it's still the exact same place, but we rebranded in 2014 to just make it quite a seamless service. There's two parts of the service for us. There's that evening service that supports women in a harm reduction fashion, which is supporting women on the streets. We would go and look for them. We've got an outreach service that would physically go and find women involved, and then we will offer them safety planning, harm reduction services, and our ultimate aim is to get them involved in support to exit. Now, a prerequisite of someone being involved in Route South isn't about them wanting to exit, because they're involved for so many different reasons. It's not about exiting for them, because for them they're not thinking about prostitution, they're thinking about what am I doing to get money for whatever it is I need to do. So that is not, the main aim of our service. So when it comes to that bit about mobile phone technology, we, in 2013 to 14, our figures plummeted, absolutely plummeted. People are saying, the women aren't involved in the street anymore, they've got mobile phone technology, they're doing online ads. So we thought, okay, so that's what we're telling our funders, that's what we're telling people that would listen. And then the more we thought about it, the more we thought, well, actually, if we're saying that prostitution is about surviving, it's about survival behaviour, all I need is myself, the street, and somebody to buy me. So that's kind of what we looked at, and we thought, we're looking in the wrong places, we're not out at the right times. So what we did was we trawled through our policing partners, information about arrests, where the arrests were. We trawled through CCTV footage because we're quite lucky within Community Safety Glasgow. We manage the CCTV for the entire city. So we trawled through all that data and we actually found we're not there at the right times, we're not there in the right nights, and the women were actively avoiding us for reasons of that we thought we were doing the right thing. We were sharing information to try and keep them safe. We were using lessons that we maybe learned in a domestic abuse setting and try to replicate them in a prostitution setting, and that doesn't work. Because the very nature of women being involved in prostitution is that they don't want people to know, which, yes, is similar, but we can't keep women safe by sharing information, which we can do in a domestic abuse setting. But for prostitution, we need to tackle the punter to actually keep them safe. So by sharing information about her, all we were doing was driving her away. So we learned massive lessons about how we did that, and that's kind of a bit about what we're here to talk about today, is that if we can learn a lesson and share it with other people, then what we can say is, well, prostitution is absolutely alive and it's thriving on our street in Glasgow at present. So that gives you a wee bit about the service. So, sorry, bear with me. That gives you a wee bit about our demographic. So predominantly the women that we work with are within that 35 to 44 bracket, and they're Indigenous white Scottish women. The 20% of the women that we work with are coming from out with Glasgow, so that's the Lanarkshires, the Ayrshires, which I know is of interest to a few people at the moment. So the majority have been victims of crimes themselves. The majority have had chaotic lifestyles, and as we all know, the background for a lot of women is about child sexual abuse, trauma itself. So these are the drivers for women getting involved. We get asked a lot, what was the causal factor for a woman getting involved? It's trauma. There's a million different things. For every single woman is different, but there's common factors there. So it would be remiss if we were talking about this not to talk about the men. It's predominantly men who buy sex from women. This information we hear is about challenging men's demand for prostitution in Scotland 2008. So it was a study of 110 men and the information about them. So it's stuff that we absolutely know. I mean, we've known for a long time that it's men who buy sex from women. Predominantly, 48% of them are married or living with a partner. Again, from the women that we work with, that's absolutely what they'll tell us as well. And you can see there that, they've got some of them well-paid jobs. So there's not any sort of category or bracket of purchaser that we could say, well, it's only them that buy sex. It's cross-cutting across many different parts of society. I suppose some of the interesting stuff here is that 12% said that the rape of a prostitute was not possible, or that the concept simply doesn't apply to women in prostitution. So from our perspective and from the information that we get from women, there's that entitlement. Once I've paid for you, I get to do what I like. And that is really the harsh reality for a lot of the women that we support. Okay. So this is about the men who buy sex. We did we call it a punter profile, and that's the terminology that we would use. So it's a purchaser's profile. Again, in Community Safety Glasgow, we're very lucky that we've got police analysts who are able to provide kind of products for us to kind of analyse some of this. So this was about an assessment of offenders, and that would have been the curb crawling legislation that was used. From 2010 to 2015. So it gave you a bit of a snapshot of the types of people that are committing curb crawling offences. So 70%, as it said there, from a white Scottish background. 62% of them were employed. 57% were from Glasgow. But what we know is that people will travel, men will travel from out with Glasgow to come into the city centre to buy sex. 23 of the 376 were also domestic abuse offenders. That's not a huge, percentage, but we made a correlation there. The vast majority of the arrests were made in the city centre. So our evening drop-in centre is in the city centre, and when we do our outreach, the vast majority of the women that we meet are within a very short space of distance from where they drop in. They don't go far because that's about where they feel safe. We were lucky again this year through the Violence Against Women Network and our Violence Against Women got the partnership that we had a wee bit of money, and what we did was we commissioned a snapshot exercise. That was about, I'll move on. That was about looking at a snapshot of not just street prostitution, but online ads. And it was a big eye-opener for us, I have to say. This will give you an idea of the amount of women being advertised online. So the snapshot exercise covered a 16-day period. The person who did the exercise she typed in escorts within the G1 or 10 miles within the G1 area, and these were the results. So, and this was the range of websites that we had come up with. The numbers are indicative. It's not. This isn't saying that these are the amount of women that are being advertised, because women are advertised over a number of sites. They are advertised. It'll be the same picture for different women, so they're indicative. But in any one day, it lets you see how many adverts there are for women within the city. So Adult Works, as you can see, is the main site, and Viva Street being the secondary. So it gives you an indication of how many ads there are. The ads appeared more at the weekends, so that would probably be consistent with their data as well about women being involved on street about the nights of the week. Okay. So online ads, that gives you an indication. So there's 369 to 388 ads. We'll take Adult Work, for example. There was a section that you could go in and it was available now. So that was like 52 to 88 women that would be available at that point in time when they went on to look. So what's really interesting, and one of the cards out there today was talking about, is trafficking and prostitution linked. If you think about purchasing sex, like purchasing any commodity, people want choice. They want something different. They want something new. So for purchasers, they're thinking, I've never had this before. I've never had that before. I've never had a black woman before. I've never had a pregnant woman before. And that, again, harsh reality. So when we talk about the continuum of prostitution, we can't deny the fact that women are brought in to satisfy that demand for something new. Okay, so two of the Scottish sites have high proportions of Eastern European women. You see that a lot. It's like women are advertised as Russian temptress, so it's about how something's sold, how something is marketed. The women, in terms of age ranges, it was that younger category again. If I've got that, I don't have that, sorry. So it was the younger category between that 18 and 30 age category. So women were either advertised as older than they were, which obviously, causes concerns for another reason, or younger than they were for marketing purposes. Okay. I'm running through this. It's really just to give you a snapshot. One of the other things that we wanted to really highlight was about men's attitudes, the purchasers' attitudes to women. Within the snapshot, and I've not included it here, but there was a big piece of work done about men's review sites of women. So if you think it's like TripAdvisor for men who, purchase women, and some of the comments and some of the ratings that they give are just absolutely horrific. So this one in particular, she's become one of the Walking Dead. She's all the enthusiasm of an autistic budgie. I tried to get it into, but her eyes stared at the ceiling. Now that, for anybody who's ever supported someone, a vulnerable person, that's trauma right there and disassociation. So for punters not to be able to see that is quite horrific. And again, the traffic situation, people, men are getting into rooms, they're purchasing women, they can't speak English, not a thought passes their mind about why is this woman here, Does she know what's going on? Why can't she speak English? Why is she involved in this in the first place? So, okay. Okay, so I talked a little bit about our service. So we went through a review because of the engagements dropping within that period. The attendances dropped in half. So we did a full scale review, and we revised how we approach our information sharing policies, and the word spread. The word spread, and we changed from different nights of operation to the nights where we knew women were involved. So now we are open from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning. Roseanne keeps me right. From 9 till 1 o'clock in the morning, and that's for our drop-in service. We would be involved in outreach from those times as well. Our staff work from 8:30 until 1:30 in the morning. Now, previously we worked till 11 o'clock at night. We were shutting our doors, and the women were coming out, and we weren't getting involved. So by changing those operating times, we're really able to kind of access more women. I'm going to pass over to Roseanne and Sally now, because this is the nitty-gritty part and how we do it. And Sally's brilliant at talking about the women that we do support in their journey, and I think it's really important. I think, Sally, you were the first to say, and I was as well, that our opinions of women and choices were very different when we first started to what they are now, and I think it's not until you start supporting women that you realise that choices are very limited. So I'll pass on to Roseanne, and she can take over for here.
How do I follow that? Do you want to move on to the next? As Frankie's already said, when we relaunched in 2016, we had an entire new staff group recruited for our evening service. And again, we're open from 9 p.m. till 1 a.m, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Previously, we were opened Monday, Wednesday and a Friday, from 7:30 till 11:30. And for us, with the client group that we work with really chaotic people, and it was important. Unfortunately, we can't be open 7 nights a week, but it was a bit confusing for women, because they may come to the door on a Friday night and then go back on a Saturday and we were closed, and go back on a Sunday and we were closed, and then we're open again Monday. So it was important to us when we relaunched that it was joined up, to try and provide consistency. We increased from 3 nights to 4 nights, and we also launched our website at the same time as well. And I'm not sure if people know this or not, or if previously it was out there that we don't work with women involved off street. We do. We work with any woman who is considering getting involved, at risk of being involved, is currently involved, and she's not looking to exit, but she's looking for support. Then our doors are always open to anyone. And the creation of the website was, eventually in 2016, we dragged ourselves into the 21st century, and you can even message us. It's great. I don't know what more flexibility by reviewing staff notice about, actually. So moving on, and that's our website address. So this, this is our drop-in at Robertson Street. It's a safe space for women to access the service, discuss any issues that they've got with staff confidentially. It's a very pragmatic approach. As I'm sure everybody knows, we can't force anybody to do something or not do something that they don't want to do. And as Frankie's already said, the women that we work with, it's survival behaviour. They've got to do what they've got to do to meet their needs. So, as I say, we take a very pragmatic view. We have our Beware book, which it's information that's provided by women that access the service, by our colleagues in Police Scotland, about dangerous punters that are out there. So things like descriptions and registration numbers of cars, and that's just to inform women, what to look out for. We do safety planning with them. We provide harm reduction items like condoms and needles, foil. We provide practical and emotional support. And really for the night staff, if you like, we're trying to build the trust with the women. We're trying to encourage them to link in with the great team that we've got during the day that can support women on their terms, meeting their needs, meet when it suits them, and also there's hot drinks and snacks, which is not something we push, but it's there. Our outreach, this was really important to us when we relaunched the drop-in historically. Women would come to the drop-in. Back in the day, the city centre was a lot busier. There was a lot more women than what we see today. That wasn't happening anymore, you know. There's no doubt the numbers were declining, and as we go on to see, we would argue that they're not declining as much as what we kind of thought they were. The outreach was really important to us because naturally the client group are distrustful, so we had to be consistent. That's why our staff are out there an hour at a time each night that we're open. They're out from 10 till 11, then from 11:30 to 12:30. No, that's wrong. They're out there from 9:30 to 10:30, because we're no evil, we give them a wee break in between. From 11 till 12, and not all, I still can't get it right. 10:30 to 11:30, and then 12 to 1. So basically we're out there to the last minute that we close our doors. And we're not trying to, we're proactive, but we're gentle in our approach. If, you know, a lot of times a woman will see us and she'll fly across the road. We're not pursuing anybody down a lane, or we just want to become part of the environment so that they feel safe to approach us. And again, the guys carry harm reduction items with them. They're looking to have a chat with them, try to encourage them to come to the drop-in. We don't insist that you give us your name. We'll still provide you with anything that you need and anything that we can do. Okay. Our day service, we have 5 case management workers, and basically our case management workers, what I'll do is I'll leave that and I'll let Sally talk about that. But again, we provide practical and emotional support. Majority of women that we work with have got addiction issues, they're homeless, their benefits have been stopped, so we are addressing all those practical issues right away, right off the bat. The level of support is completely driven by the women accessing our service. If it's just a one-off piece of support that she wants, that's absolutely fine. If it's more longer-term support, she'll be given an allocated worker. Part and parcel of everything we do is always harm reduction input. What we also do is we provide safety surgeries within women's emergency accommodations in Glasgow, and that's part of our prevention work, because we know from the women that we've worked with in the past that for a lot of them, becoming involved in prostitution started when they were in hostels, by other women telling them about it, the allure of it's easy money, or even being, if you like, brought into the city centre under false pretences. I just need somebody to watch my back tonight. So our staff will go in and have that conversation with women in the hostels about that, hoping that, and we have had a number of women approach our staff in, the accommodation providers, saying to staff, actually that happened to me last week, could I talk more to you about it? So we find that that's a useful piece of work for us to do. So down to the numbers a bit I like. Our evening service in the year 2015 to 16, our year runs 1st of April to the 31st of March. At our drop-in, when we do old opening hours and nights, we had a total of 115 presentations. We had 52 engagements on outreach, and we provided 236 harm reduction inputs. When we relaunched with our new hours, extended opening and extra night, we had 484 presentations in 2016-17. We had 506 engagements on outreach and 677 harm reduction inputs. Now, I'm not really 480, that all looks really impressive, but what is really striking for me, this is about the individual women that are involved in prostitution on our streets in Glasgow. Now in 2015-16, it was 52 women. In 2016-17, it was 96. We had 88 new women that had never been known to our service. And I think that's really quite striking. Our day service, our case management workers during the day, in 2015-16, they supported 118 cases. In 2016-17, I went up to 166. 342 positive outcomes the previous year. And 16-17, we had 551 positive outcomes. The way we count our positive outcomes is, and I often feel sorry for the staff, because they can spend weeks and weeks and weeks sorting out a benefit or an assessment for PIP or an appointment with the addiction services, and they've been on that phone battling and advocating, and our client just doesn't pitch to. That's not a positive outcome. You know, the only time we count it as a positive outcome is when that is a direct positive outcome for that woman. So our benefits are back in place. She's back on a script. We've secured housing for her and so on. So, and as I already mentioned, we had in 2015-16, we had 49 new women identified as involved in prostitution that wasn't previously known to us. In 2016-17, we had 88. I'll pass you on to Sally now. Are you all right with that?
You want me to talk about this?
Do you want to talk about this?
Okay, I'm a case management worker for Roots Out, and what I like about my job is the client's a very core everything. As soon as a woman's speaking about exiting, we look at what her needs are, what's keeping her involved in prostitution, and start trying to take that away. If she's needing housing, addictions, any kind of support, sometimes it's just even emotional support and counselling she's needing. If she has, you know, like a prescription and medication, housing in place, we look at what else could we bring to the table for you. Now, we do everything at a woman's pace, and make sure that when she gets appointments, we'll be there. We'll be knocking on her door, going with her, and going through maybe several appointments till she builds up a relationship with the worker we're taking her to. This is really important. I found that there was always a link missing. And what it was if you phone and say, okay, I got you an appointment with an addiction worker on Monday morning at 9:30, the likelihood of that woman making it on her own is quite small. So what we'll do is I'll phone the woman maybe at 7:30 in the morning, an alarm call, get her up, arrange where I'm meeting her, or arrange to be at her door and take her there. We understand that it's difficult often for the women to build up relationships with people because of the abuse they've had in their life and the number of times they've been let down or looked down on. So what we do is we'll go and with the women to each appointment until they build up that relationship. Our job is to keep the women safe, whether they're involved or not involved in prostitution. Even when women exit, we have to look at where they go, what kind of people they mix with. So we look at day services, we look at other support rather than leaving them without anything to do. Women who've done this for a number of years will often return due to being bored, due to not having supports, not having friends. And really recently I had a woman who I've been working with for 2 years had returned because an ex-partner had appeared at our supported accommodation and started shouting about her involvement in prostitution. She had to leave the accommodation with him because no one there knows her history. And that was really, really frightening for her. And when she called me, I had met up with her, and she says that all her new friends in her new life know nothing about this. So it was really difficult for her. She had no one to go over this with, and she said that, you know, she felt like just walking away for everything she had. But because she could phone Roots out and meet up with me and sit and go over it in her head, once she actually broke it all down, and it was her that done the work, it made sense how she was going to deal with it, and she felt stronger. She had somebody there in the background, and I think that's really important, that the women know that they could return when they feel they need that support. And I think with us being consistent and being there, even if it's out in outreach, and saying, right, there you go, if you need needles or water or foil or whatever you're needing, and just being persistent all the time. I think the women are consistent rather than persistent. I think maybe I'm persistent. But just being there and building up that trust with people is really, really important. I mean, I've known women for years, and it could take 2 or 3 years before they actually sit down and disclose what's really going on for them, because they're always putting on another face. They're always putting on something else rather than being who they really are. And that's really scary for them to take that mask off and say, actually, this is me, this is how frightened I am. If they tell you how frightened they are at the beginning, they'll not survive it in that street. So they've got to say, I'm okay with this, this is my choice. I do this because I want, I do this because I'm in control. And when they exit, or are in the stages exiting, they will tell you, I had no control, and everything was run by fear and survival. But at the point where they're involved in prostitution, they can't say that, because they need to look at it if they say it. So there's no women over the past 12 years that I've spoken to has ever agreed that it's a choice, or ever agreed it would be something they would want it, you know, family, sisters, mothers, daughters involved in. They know how horrific it is, and it's only when they could start to come out the other end they could actually say that. It is survival behaviour.
Last word, Dave.
So, is there any questions? Yes.
I was just quite interested in what you said about kind of like your relaunch and how you looked at all of that. I'm really quite interested in how we engage particularly complex and chaotic women in services, because that can be quite difficult. So you were saying there was quite a sudden drop in their numbers.
I mean, when we say sudden drop, it was kind of tapering off to the point we were like, something's wrong. And you can get sudden drops. I mean, they can be. We're quite. We look at performance quite closely, and we look at our stats every month. Now, this month we've had a wee drop, and which is unusual for us because we've had that steady stream of increase since the relaunch. But we're able to go and speak to women and say what's going on now. Interestingly enough, you know, it goes through women, whilst they don't, you know, generally interact with one another out there. There'll be snippets of information that'll filter through. So there'll be things like someone's got an online ad on Adult Works. Well, I might do that. So we think that there's maybe this trend just now where women who are predominantly based on street are maybe using the internet. Now, what we know is that that's not sustainable for the women that we work with. They will absolutely come back to that, but it explains little peaks and troughs, and that's what's it's being able to analyse your own data and say there's a reason for that, that drop.
You're saying when you looked at it, you could see that you were out there at the wrong times and things like that. But do you think there was anything, you said stuff about information sharing, so do you think there was stuff going throughout the community of women? Yeah. I mean, and
that resurrects itself constantly. So you'll maybe get a woman who's, what Sally said there is right, a woman who's been involved previously has come back. So that women say, but they shared your information with the police, don't talk to them. So then what happens is people go, oh, did they share our information with the police? Oh my God, I didn't know that. So what we do is we have to proactively go out and say, hey everybody, listen, we don't share your information. We'll share information about punters, we'll share information about curb crawlers, because that's the only way we can, you know.
It's a real challenge in these services.
Definitely.
Definitely. People are already really, quite naturally, very suspicious of services, anxious about engaging them. They're already very chaotic and complex.
Because that's learned behaviour from how they've experienced, how they've been treated,
from someone, and it sort of travels through.
And that, as I say, whilst they're not, you know, people aren't involved in groups, it filters through
And how, sorry, I'm asking, and
Hogging
I'm just
it.
really interested in this, how you involve women in getting feedback, because it's something that we find within our services. Women often tell us what they think we want to hear in terms of honest feedback about engagement. Like, how have you managed to get that?
I mean, there was part of that again before the relaunch where we absolutely think women were out active the nights we weren't in operation because they were actively avoiding us. So then what we did is we flipped. But we've had to get service user feedback, so that would be like through the likes of Sally, the work, you know, through our staff, through the outreach workers. We would be always constantly asking people coming into the drop-in for harm reduction items. We would be asking them, what is it, you know, we're always asking, and we're always trying to get, for want of a better word, the word on the street. Because if we get a snippet and we're saying to our outreach staff, if you're hearing something, you're hearing it more than once, strategically we need to know about it, because then that explains when we're looking at performance, we can go, that's the reason for that. Like, we need to shift how we approach what we're, so just now we're going, right, we're proactively going out to speak to women about, let's just get this straight about our information sharing policy, so we're ahead of the game now, and that's a big lesson we learned.
That's really helpful.
Anybody else? No? Yeah, I mean, that's people always say, is it all right to say pimp? You know, and we'll say, aye, fine. We would say pimp, punter, you know, but pimps can be an abusive partner, you know. Pimp can be, you know, someone who's a partner from a supported accommodation. Again, it comes back to that thing about men will purchase sex from women. So you've got a guy who's got an addiction in a supported accommodation. He's not going out. He's going to say to her, you go out and you'll get this money. So, you know, that's generally how it would work. But organised crime is huge. You know, that underground organised crime and drug dealers. So again, that link with the trafficking part. We don't see that generally on street. We don't see a huge, as I said, our women are predominantly white, Scottish. But, you know, indoor, absolutely. Anybody else?
It's really interesting, the stuff around the sort of snapshot of the online ads. I don't know if you had any thought about how you might promote the service to those who are advertising people's needs. Is that something?
I mean, we've had so many ideas over the years about how we could. We talked about doing a net reach where we would just go on and start contacting people. You know, our partners in NHS, Sandiford recently looked at purchasing online ads for sexual health services for, you know, sites like Adult Works. And it didn't last very long, Linda, did it? They were punted out after about...
Yeah, as soon as the commercial sites realised that it was services then offering, they put all of the service adverts.
So they didn't...
Commercial providers, escort agencies, Adult Works, do not want information.
They don't want sexual health services being advertised, which is quite frightening, to be quite honest. As a basic need for someone involved in the sex industry, you would be hoping that would be something that would be promoted, but they don't want anybody being in, and they don't want anybody contacting people. Oh, and I'm over time. Our timekeeper's just told me. Thanks very much, everybody. That was really, really good. Thank you.